10 o'clock on by my watch. Called meeting to order. This is a meeting, a special meeting to talk and hopefully pass a budget. We've had quite a time this year then that staff and commissioners have been working on the budget for 2 or 3 months now, but we never could get a definite answer from the state legislature whether they were going to exempt or whether they were going to keep Buncombe County from implementing the reevaluation. There was a House bill that was passed, a Senate bill that was passed, and then another bill was introduced to make Buncombe County exempt from House bill. So here we are, Savannah, finally. So you want to do the presentation, please?
I will. The first thing I will do is give you a legislative update about Senate Bill 474. So as you all know, on the 19th of June, Governor Stein signed Senate Bill 889 into law, which imposes a moratorium on the 2026 property tax reappraisal that's set to take effect on July 1st. And the moratorium will affect the assessed property values, obviously. At the same time, another bill, which is Senate Bill 474, is with the North Carolina Senate and was sent to committee on Tuesday, June 23rd. And if approved, Senate Bill 474 would exempt Buncombe County from Senate Bill 889. So as you all know, this bill has been moving through the General Assembly over the past several weeks. After the House adopted some changes, the Senate voted not to concur with the House version of Senate Bill 474. As a result, it has now been sent to conference committee, and they are trying to negotiate a final version before it can move forward. We have heard that something should be final by tomorrow. But we'll see. So the budget before you this morning was prepared based on the assumption that Senate Bill 474 will become law, and I believe that it will. If that does not happen, we will need to return to the board with a budget amendment to adjust the budget ordinance, to adjust the tax rate so that it generates the ad valorem tax revenue included in the adopted budget. In other words, while the overall budget and level of services would remain the same, the tax rate would need to be recalculated using the certified tax base in effect to ensure that the town receives the property tax revenue assumed in the budget. We should have more clarity once the General Assembly completes action on the bill, hopefully by tomorrow. So now I'll get into the actual budget. So the proposed general fund totals $2,462,818, representing an 18.52% increase over the current fiscal year. This budget does not include an appropriation of general fund balance. However, a water fund balance appropriation is included to address necessary infrastructure repairs and capital expenses. The ad valorem tax rate for fiscal year 26-27 is 0.36 per $100 of assessed valuation. The town's tax base, as reported by Buncombe County, is $449,624,283. The total proposed budget for fiscal year 26-27 is $3,040,918,000, which is an increase of 21.5% from the previous year. General fund revenues are projected at $2,462,818,000. While the water fund totals $578,000, a 36% increase. So for personnel, we are suggesting a 3% merit-based increase across all departments, and then outside of that, there would be some increases, as you all have discussed previously, for certain staff members. The police department budget reflects a 15% increase to support a career ladder for staff and the implementation of a take-home vehicle program. Sanitation is a 12.17% increase, which reflects the transition to contracted waste services, and that allows approximately 80% of the sanitation operator's time and salary to shift to the streets department. Street maintenance expenditures have increased by 47%, primarily due to equipment needs and the addition of personnel capacity from sanitation. Recreation and Public Works increases of 34% and 24% respectively, and those are driven by rising costs and necessary equipment investments. As you all know, we are trying to navigate rising costs, aging infrastructure, and service expectations, and that all requires careful prioritization. And I think that we've accomplished a really good budget that balances those things nicely. So we will leave it there for your discussion, but before I turn it over, I'd just like to thank all of our employees for all of the work that's gone into this budget, and for all of you for your patience and work. I know this has been an interesting budget year, to say the least.
To say the least. Commissioners, you've received the budget. You've had a chance to look at it before today. So if you want to dive in, you're welcome.
I think the agenda calls for a public hearing.
Yeah. My bad. I have a motion to go to public hearing.
So moved.
So
Second.
moved. Have a second. Have a second. Commissioner, Mayor Pro Tem Fouché. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Public, the motion is carried. The vote is carried. The floor is open for a public hearing on the budget.
Letta Jean Taylor, 386 Oklahoma Road. I have a question about packet page 27, section 7. It says the tax rate levy will be 37.5 cents with .36 in the parentheses, so I just wondered about that. Also, at the last meeting,
What page was that?
packet page 27.
27. That's a typo, Letta Jean. It's meant to be 36. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I just...
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
At the last meeting, Mary Standard talked about garbage and roads, which is what people are always talking about. I'm sure your phone rings all the time about those two things.
Gene, speak into the microphone.
It might not be on. Oh, it is. You're addressing the difficult issue of sanitation, and I really appreciate that. I've seen so many people from Black Mountain come and park in the MRA parking space and walk their garbage up. So this, I hope, will correct that without bags being thrown over the fence. But I don't see a lot about roads. I know that you're still working with Helene damage on roads, but I haven't seen lately the list of roads, the priority for repaving and repairing roads. And if we don't plan for that in our budget, it's going to catch us. I haven't seen a CIP plan to address some of those issues, and I would love to see that. And a fee schedule, I haven't seen that either. Is that going to be available as well? And the last thing is, I'm sorry there's not a pay increase, but I'm very glad that you're providing the wage up to the living wage and also merit pay, because we have the best group of people working for us in Montreat. I don't think any other community in the state can run a town with as few people as we do. They do a great job. So we're blessed to have them. And one kind of odd thing, I read an article about Hendersonville that was going to lose sales tax revenue because they didn't increase their budget the way the complicated thing is done. Is that going to affect us with our sales tax revenue? That's just I don't know how Buncombe County, if it's a statewide thing or if it's just Henderson County, but they were going to lose about $600,000 in sales tax revenue because of the way they didn't raise their budget, didn't raise their tax increase. So that's just a question to think about. Thanks.
Thank you, Letta Jean. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Fouché to close the public hearing. We have a second.
Second.
A second from Commissioner Blake. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Public hearing is closed. Commissioners, you've seen the budget. Want to start your discussion. Any comments? Any questions? Okay, hearing no comments and questions.
Yeah, I do. Somebody else should talk first, since I always am babbling.
No, you don't.
Let's see. I just want to go back to salaries again. 3 or 4 times in the budget document, plus this morning from you, you talked about a 3% merit. And then this morning you said, in addition to some other salaries that we've discussed, the total budget increase for salaries is almost 8%. It's 7.8%. A big difference between the 3% merit increase. So what we're talking about, the 3% would be about $27,781 in total, given the salaries. But now there's an additional $44,113, or 4.8% of the total salaries. I don't recall other salary increases to that level. Could you explain publicly as much as you can on that, please?
Yes. So there is a fairly significant increase for one person in administration. It's not me. That is included in there. There are increases for both Barry and the increase that we discussed also for Jared in Public Works. I'm just trying to go through any other that we had discussed. Rachel, are you able to speak on that a little bit? The salary increases and where they are divided up?
So the streets department did have some increases due to the living wage, and then to alleviate compression. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Do you have that actually broken down somewhere that I can see it right now?
J Drive.
I'm in the budget spreadsheet right now. I don't know that I totally. Okay, so that is the piece I think that I was missing, that the Buncombe County living wage rate has moved from $23.15 an hour to $24.10 an hour. And we had several employees at that Buncombe County living wage of $23.15 an hour that will move to $24.10 an hour.
And that makes up the full extra
Yes.
44,000?
I'm just looking to confirm that, but yes, I believe so with the others that I mentioned, yes.
Well, I'll just say to the commission, that was a surprise to me, that we have 3%, which merit, which is very, very much needed for the good work that they're doing, but that we had another almost 5% that going to other things that we weren't, or that I wasn't fully aware of.
Other questions or comments?
Yeah, one last thing, and that has to do with just our explanation of what's going on. One of the things that I think is really confusing for everyone, all of us, is that with revaluation, that we're at 0.43 now. A neutral tax rate or a rate that would put us at the same income level, which is called a revenue neutral rate, would take us down, take our tax rate down to 0.29 or 0.3, depending on how you figure it. What I don't think has been clear to everyone, and I'm primarily talking about our taxpayers, is that really what we're talking about here is a 20% tax increase for everyone. You've talked about what the overall total fund revenues increase is, but it's never been stated publicly that we are looking at, for each of us, a 20% increase in our taxes.
So yes, that is true. This budget does increase taxes. We are not going to a revenue neutral rate, which we've calculated at 30 cents. This budget is at 36 cents, which is 6 cents higher than the revenue neutral rate.
And you've heard me say this before, we do need a tax increase. We haven't had one in, what, is it 6 years now? I know it's at least 5. And with inflation and buying power, we've lost a lot. And I support a 0.36. I just am concerned that it hasn't been real clear to the residents what we're looking at, and we need to make sure that we're transparent about that.
Sure. Yes. If that has been unclear to anyone, I apologize. But yes, that is true. This is not a revenue neutral budget, and you will feel a tax increase.
Any other comments or questions from?
Yeah, one
Commissioner?
last one on water. There is an appropriation. Do you know what that leaves us in the fund balance appropriation for the water fund? And then secondly, when will we start using the $4.5 million that we have available to us, and none of that can be used for these expenses?
So I think you're referring to the SRF funds, the state revolving funds. We have been, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. Those funds have been set aside from us, but they have not come down yet. So we don't actually have anything in hand yet. And we are actually, at the council meeting next month, will need to select what's referred to as an on-call engineering firm that will be our engineers through all of the projects that we do for the SRF funds. And So we'll get that in place first. We'll need to approve some paperwork for the state at that meeting. We'll return that to the state, and then I don't know when we'll actually have cash in hand. But once we have the money in hand, we should be ready to go. That money has a very narrow use, and we had to actually list everything out in our application of what it would be used for. The capital outlay that we've approved in the water budget this year is for a truck and for hydrant repairs. The state will not pay for maintenance, which hydrant repairs are considered maintenance. That's true of almost every grant. They'll pay for resiliency, they'll pay for new infrastructure, but they will not pay for maintenance. So we're on the hook for the hydrant repairs. And then the truck would not qualify for those funds either. I do not know the total of what is left in our water fund balance after that appropriation, but I think Rachel's going to look.
Kitty, you had a question or a comment?
Well, I think I know, but I want to make sure on the summary sheet, sanitation goes down 77%. And that, I suppose, is because of moving one employee to another division and the people that we hire for garbage pickup. So
Yes,
is
so
all-
that's only going down the 77% in salaries. But that's because we're moving the majority of Drew's salary out of sanitation and into streets. Yes.
In the streets?
Yes.
Okay, that's where I didn't know where it went. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Just to follow up on what Tom said, I'd like to assure everyone that the commission has been working hard, and I'm particularly Commissioner Widmer, and thank you, Commissioner, for your leadership, looking very hard at these numbers, and we realize it's a very significant tax increase, but at the same time, we've held the line on taxes year after year after year after year after year, and everybody here in the mayor's made it known several times this year, we didn't have any choice, and if we were going to, run this town responsibly, we were going to have a tax increase. And so none of us like paying more taxes, but sometimes you have to do it in order to make the town function as the town needs to function.
And if I can just add on to that, you all, with the staff, prepared an initial budget and then pared it down, and then pared it down again, and then pared it down again to the level where it is right now. Could you just tell us what was cut from the asks because we couldn't afford it?
Yes, I hope I can capture everything. We cut a pickup truck from Public Works. We cut two paving projects. That were very expensive. Yeah, I think those were three of the major expenses. I'm sorry? Oh, and the patrol car, sorry, yes. So 2 vehicles and then 2 large paving projects make up the bulk of what was cut.
Yeah, it almost all was capital expenses. I reviewed, and I know other members of the commission reviewed very carefully the operating expenses, and there just was very little there unless we were going to run our operations in a substandard manner. We had to really go to the capital expenses in order to get the budget where the budget is now. So that's just the way it is. And in particular, we just had to cut just almost everything, just with a couple of things. And 2 of those were paid for out of the water fund. So in any event, that's where we are. And we'll need to be searching for money for those capital improvements. And we may end up borrowing to pay for some of these capital improvements, because right now we're not getting enough to we're barely getting enough to run our operations out of our taxes, and that's increasing.
Yes, and so the capital projects that are still in the budget, I should highlight those, and I haven't, are tractor replacement for Public Works. I did mention the take-home vehicle policy for the police department, compactor upgrades for the convenience center. We are replacing the pickup truck that is used by the water department, and then I mentioned the hydrant repairs as well. And then after the water department appropriation from fund balance, that leaves $1,800,000 in fund balance there.
But as I calculated, it, we had to cut over $500,000 out of capital expenses to get to where we are now. So,
Other questions or comments?
I have one comment that I think we can be very proud of, is that the funds that we appropriated, a third of it, close to a third of it, goes to personnel. And I think that's where our priority, one of our priorities is.
Okay. Anyone ready to make a motion to adopt the budget as presented?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt the proposed 2026-2027 budget as presented.
Have a motion, Commissioner Widmer. Do we have a second?
Second?
Have a second from Commissioner Alexander. Further discussion or questions? All those in favor of the motion to pass the 26-27 budget signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. We have a budget until we don't, right? Might be here at the 11th hour.
I hope not.
I'll come.
I hope not, too. Item 7 on the agenda is the Carter contract for the audit. Savannah?
Yes, if you'll remember at the June Town Council meeting, this was on the agenda for approval. There was some concern about the deadline in the contract stating that they would have it to us at, the very last day, the day to turn it in. They have agreed to get us a draft by November 13th, which is fantastic. That gives us plenty of time to move it through audit committee and town council. The price remains unchanged. It's still $32,850. But you can see now on page 45 of your contract where that date for the draft has been included, November 13th.
Thanks for doing that.
Do we have a motion then to adopt the engagement letter with Carter for the audit?
so moved?
Have a motion. Do we have a second? Second from Commissioner Fouché. Motion was by Commissioner Blake. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we've contracted with the audit for next year. Budget amendment number 18, Savannah.
Yes, so Kathy Dodson has been working on the Kanawha flower beds. I don't know if you guys have seen the improvement there, and she worked with Barry and I on that and then raised funds to pay for the landscaper. Those funds were given to the town. Kathy has paid the landscaper and taken care of all the expenses. So we're just asking to move the money to include it in the budget so that we can write Kathy a check to reimburse her for her expenses on that. And those were all donated funds. The town did not have any expense in that. So that's budget amendment number 18. Are they together?
Commissioners, questions of Savannah?
I'm sorry.
I was just asking if the commissioners had any questions. Do I have a motion?
Move approval of the budget amendment, number 18.
I have a motion from Commissioner Blake. I have a second.
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Widmer. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Budget amendment number 19, Savannah.
So these are FEMA funds. We received a reimbursement of $24,328.83, and a donation as well. So adding those to the budget and then moving some money to go ahead and continue paying for work on Arbor Lane, the pedestrian bridge, and some culverts. And I think that's actually going to outstanding invoices that we already had, the engineers have been working, and we need to get them paid. So that's what that's going for.
Questions? Comments? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Alexander to adopt budget amendment number 19. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Mayor Pro Tem Fouché. Any further questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Floor is open for any public comment. Do what?
Are you going to continue this meeting in case you have to do another budget tomorrow?
We'll
Don't
call
know
an
yet.
emergency meeting if we do, yes.
Okay. Any discussion of any other town business?
Hi. I'm sure you guys are a little bit tired of hearing about this at this point, but speaking on behalf of Flat Creek Crossing Steering Committee and the Helene Recovery Fund grant, I want to reiterate a couple of points. That didn't need to be in this budget, I don't think. It's a separate issue in some ways. But the fact that we have $307,000 waiting to complete work on the surrounding area that would allow the new footbridge to be placed and would shore up the bank that's trying to cave and would secure the bank on the town maintenance side and fence it. We are confident as a committee that we know where we can get another half of that. We are looking into additional funding sources that would be grants that might allow us to use that money as a match. If we don't have that money, we can't claim it as a match. And a match is extremely important for credibility when you're going for grants. So I just want to leave that out there. We're concerned about the liability and the danger of the downed footbridge and the bank that's still trying to collapse. Other elements of it are not as urgent as those two, but we need 2 pieces of bank repair done before we could even place the footbridge. This grant would help secure the engineering for the footbridge, and I think we have the funds available to get the engineering. We can probably get about halfway to the cost of the footbridge. So I know that there are urgent priorities. I think they're much more expensive than that. We think this is a good bet. It's really disappointing if we don't accept that grant. We won't quit, but we'd be in a lot better position if we had that as a base. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you, Jane. Anyone else? Any other comments? Okay. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Alexander to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second from Commissioner Widmer. Let's hope we don't have to come back again for a budget, but we'll see. All those in favor to adjourn signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. We stand adjourned.